Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Asfarina Barira Salma. I'm from 3MSU. And today I will present my presentation about pronouns. Here are the types of pronouns: personal, possessive, reflexive, relative, demonstrative, indefinite, interrogative. Okay, we have the personal pronouns. They take the place of nouns. Okay, the personal pronouns are the following: I, me, us, we, you, he, him, she, her, it, them, and they. And we have an example here. Colonel Mustard was invited to the party. Have been sweeter spoons mentioned, but he didn't want to go alone. Notice that I have highlighted in red the personal pronouns he, which is referring to Colonel Mustard. It takes the place of the noun Colonel Mustard. Let's continue. Possessive pronouns. They take the place of possessive nouns. Okay, here are the possessive pronouns: my, mine, our, ours, your, yours, his, her, hers, their, theirs, its. Notice that it doesn't have an apostrophe because it would be it is, so it does not need an apostrophe. Let's continue. One example of possessive pronoun is Mr. Whiskers was disappointed with his dinner. Okay, his function itself as a possessive otherwise. If we didn't have his, we would have used Mr. Whiskers with an apostrophe s, but we use his, which is referring as possessive to Mr. Whiskers. Let's continue. Reflexive pronouns refers or reflect back to the subject. Okay, here are some examples are reflective pronouns. We have myself, ourself, yourself, yourself, himself, herself, themselves, itself. Notice that they and in both singular and plural form of self. Okay, and we have a following example. Adit just wanted to be by himself. Notice that the pronoun himself is referring or is reflecting back to the subject Adit. Okay, more of using reflexive pronouns carefully. They can only be used after a name or pronouns to which they refer. So remember, the subject has to coincide with the reflexive pronoun. It is a don't my children want to go to Happy Land with myself. I mean, first of all, it doesn't sound good. Second of all, children is a subject of the sentence, and if we cannot reflect it back to myself, so it's not appropriate to say that and the appropriate way would have been my children wanted to go Happy Land with me. Me would have been the correct pronoun. Okay, so now the to my children want to go to Happy Land with me, but I want to go by myself. Notice that the second clause, the static is I, and I coincides with myself, so myself reflect back to the subject I. Let's continue. Relative pronoun. They introduce relative clauses. The relative pronouns are the following: that, who, whom, whose, which, whoever, whomever, whichever. Here we have an example. The period captain, who had never seen the inside of a schoolroom, struggled to read the ransom note. Okay, notice that after the pronoun who, we have a class who had never seen the inside of a schoolroom. Give extra information about the subject period captain, so it reflects back to the period captain with a lot of all that information. Beginning with the relative clause, beginning with a pronoun who. Let's continue. Relative clauses. Begin with a relative pronoun give more information about a noun. As I was telling you before, we have another example. Willard, who had just learned of the sun's power, used a magnifying glass to terrorize and let's continue. And there are exposed to magnifying sunlight tend to combust. Okay, but of them have I a reflective pronoun. The first one is who and the second one is that, followed by a clause by extra information. But I want you to take a minute, and there are some big difference between the two examples that I just gave you. So I'm gonna count to 3 and you're going to observe while I count to 3 in very slow morning. You're gonna try and see what are the difference between the two sentences. 1, 2, 3. Okay, if you notice and you took a lasky guess, or you actually did see the difference in the first sentence. The relative clause is enclosed by commas, and then the second one does not have. Okay, let's try to take away all that relative clauses, order the red area or the red word I have put in the words that I put in red. Let's try to take it out and see if the sentence does not need that information. So let's try with the first one. Well, I use a magnifying glass to terrorize, and that will function perfectly without the relative clause. I don't think there's any problem. Just that if you take away the relative clause, you take away that extra information, but it's really not necessary. Okay, let's look at the second sentence. And tend to combust now. Now yes, you form a new sentence, but tend to combust and don't do that on their own. I mean they're not able to do that, they're not able to hate themselves and even get themselves on fire. They're not able to do that. So if you're notice, this is the difference that I've been trying to tell you. When the information is not important, you enclose them in commas. That's what happened with the first sentence. But the second sentence cannot function logically without the relative clauses. So that's why do did not put it with a comma, so the second sentence continue and should be ends that are exposed to magnifying sunlight that to combust. Okay, the majority of pronouns, they take the place of things. Here are the example of the imaginative pronouns: this, that, this, and those. Okay, these points out things are near. That's point out things that are far, and they're singular. This point out things are near, but it's plural, and those point out things are far away, and it's plural also. Let's continue example. This is my favorite book about unicorns, and Patrick noticed that this is referring or taking the place of the noun book. Let's continue. Indefinite pronouns. They take the place of things. The indefinite pronouns are a lot, but let's read them. Another, all, any, anybody, anyone, anything, both, each, either, enough, everybody, everyone, everything, few, fewer, less, little, many, more, much, neither, none, nothing, one, other, others, several, some, somebody, someone, something, and such. Example: office, officer, Ramirez heard something moving behind the dumpster. Okay, something, we don't know what that something is, so definitely it is indefinite because we cannot relate it to any word in the sentence. questions because we don't know what it is. Okay, let's continue. Interrogative pronouns take the place of things. Interrogative pronouns are the following. We have who, whom, what, which, and whose. And we have an example. What's inside of that treasure chest and what it's functioning as the mysterious object that we're trying to find out what is inside the treasure chest, and logically interrogative will be in the form of a question. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.